the secret billionaire group that ran Epstein. A billionaire predator, a private island, a little black book filled with the most powerful people on Earth. We've all heard the story of Jeffrey Epstein, but what if the headlines were just a cover story? What if Epstein wasn't the mastermind, but the front man, and behind him stood a secret club of billionaires, men with money, motive, and a plan? Tonight, we go past the gossip and the famous names to uncover the shadow network that may have bankrolled and protected Epstein. The mega group, the mystery of the money. Jeffrey Epstein lived like royalty. A $77 million Manhattan mansion, a private Caribbean island, a fleet of jets. But there was one problem. Nobody could figure out how he afforded any of it. His supposed finance career never made sense. There was no major company, no IPO, no fund returns. Investigators, journalists, even financial experts kept asking, where did the money come from? Because Epstein didn't just have wealth. He had access. Presidents, princes, billionaires. They didn't make him powerful. They were drawn to his power. To find the source of that power, you have to follow the money. And the trail leads straight to one man, the patron of secrets. That man was Leslie Wexner, the billionaire behind Victoria's Secret and one of the most influential retail magnates in America. In the 1980s, Wexner did something that stunned people who later found out. He gave the then unknown Jeffrey Epstein complete control over his finances, power of attorney, signing authority, access to nearly everything. Wexner even transferred his own Manhattan mansion to Epstein, the same mansion where some of Epstein's worst crimes would later occur. Wexner later claimed he was deceived and financially defrauded by Epstein, saying he cut ties in 2007. But for nearly 2 decades, Wexner's money and influence were Epstein's foundation. And Wexner wasn't operating alone. He was part of something much bigger, a private billionaire network called a mega group. The mega group. In 1991, Leslie Wexner and Seagram heir Charles Bronfman quietly formed an exclusive network of billionaires known as the mega group. Publicly, they described it as a philanthropic alliance, a way for Jewish business leaders to fund cultural projects and support Israel. Members reportedly included household names, Edgar Bronfman, Ronald Lauder, Michael Steinhardt, and others. But the mega group had no official charter, no offices, no transparency. It met privately twice a year. On paper, philanthropy. In whispers, power. Some researchers believe the group's real purpose went beyond charity, toward influence policy and information. And through Wexner, Epstein was suddenly inside that circle. On-screen text. 1990s, Epstein joins Wexner Foundation Board. From that moment on, Epstein wasn't just a financier. He was plugged into one of the most powerful private networks in North America. The intelligence theory. This is where the story takes a darker turn. For years, intelligence insiders and investigative journalists have whispered the same theory. Epstein's operation looked like a blackmail network. The pattern fits the classic honey trap. Lure powerful figures, secretly record them, then use the footage for leverage. Former Israeli intelligence officer Ari Ben-Menash even claimed Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were tied to Mossad. And Ghislaine's father, media mogul Robert Maxwell, was long rumored to have intelligence connections of his own. Then came a strange detail. When former U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta was later asked about Epstein's 2008 plea deal, he reportedly said he'd been told Epstein belonged to intelligence and was told to leave it alone. Acosta denies this today, and official investigations found no proof. But the question still lingers. If Epstein was collecting information, who was he collecting it for? The engine room. If Epstein was an asset, every operation needs 2 things: money and protection. The money came from Wexner. That much is clear. The protection? That could only come from influence. The kind of influence the mega group had in abundance. Remember Epstein's 2008 plea deal? The one that granted immunity to unnamed co-conspirators? That wasn't just a legal break. It was a shield. And for some, that's the smoking gun. A sign that Epstein wasn't just rich. He was useful. Useful to a machine of wealth and power that could bend justice when it needed to. Useful to people who didn't want his secrets, Or there's exposed. The unanswered questions. Jeffrey Epstein is gone. Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison. But the networks that surrounded them, the financiers, the politicians, the intelligence connections, they're still here. There's no public proof that the mega group as a whole funded or directed Epstein's crimes. But the unanswered questions point towards something deeper. Where did his fortune really come from? Why was he untouchable for so long? And most haunting of all, who was he really working for? For decades, we were told Epstein was a lone monster. But the evidence suggests he may have been part of a far more powerful machine, a system of wealth, secrecy, and control that still operates in the shadows. The names in his little black book were a scandal. But the names that might have been behind the entire operation, that could rewrite history. I'm curious, what do you think about the mega group theory? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dive true crime investigations into how power really works, hit that subscribe button. We've got more coming soon.